Have you ever wondered how social media might be influencing your gambling habits without you even realizing it? In the digital age, the rise of social media platforms has created an interconnected world where information, ideas, and unfortunately, vices are shared at lightning speed. As we delve into the labyrinth of likes, shares, and retweets, a darker side of social media begins to emerge, particularly its potential role in promoting gambling. The glitz and glamour of online casinos, the thrill of sports betting, the promise of quick wins, all these are now just a click away, subtly embedded within our news feeds and timelines, cleverly disguised as harmless entertainment. What began as platforms for connecting with friends and sharing moments have evolved into sophisticated marketing machines, adept at exploiting our vulnerabilities, manipulating our desires, and luring us into the risky world of gambling. As innocent as it may seem, the impact of social media on gambling is more significant than we might think. Consider the case of John, a regular guy who fell into the social media trap. John was just like any of us. He enjoyed scrolling through his social media feeds, catching up on news and keeping in touch with friends. But amidst the harmless memes and family photos, a darker undercurrent was brewing. One day, while scrolling through his feed, John stumbled upon an ad for a new online gambling site. It was flashy and inviting, promising the chance to win big from the comfort of his own couch. The thought intrigued him, and with a single click, he was led down a path he never intended to travel. At first, it was just a game, a little fun to break up the monotony of his day. But as the weeks turned into months, John found himself spending more and more time on the site. The thrill of the win, the rush of the risk, it became an addiction that he couldn't shake. His social media feeds, once filled with friendly faces and funny videos, were now dominated by gambling content. The algorithms had learned his new interest and were feeding it, pushing him further into the depths of his addiction. As John's gambling habit grew, so did its consequences. His savings began to dwindle, his relationships strained, and his work suffered. The allure of the quick win had blinded him to the reality of his situation. He was trapped in a cycle, lured in by the promise of easy money and kept there by the relentless pull of addiction. The real cost of John's gambling was not just financial, it was the loss of time, the strain on his relationships, and the toll on his mental health. The once harmless act of scrolling through social media had turned into a dangerous game of Russian roulette with his life. John's story is just one of many, highlighting the dangers of social media's influence on gambling. It's a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the power that social media holds and the responsibility we have to use it wisely. You might be wondering, how does social media influence gambling habits? Well, let's peel back the curtain and take a closer look at the techniques employed by gambling companies on social media platforms. First off, we have the use of influencers. These are individuals who have amassed a significant following on social media. Their followers often look up to them, trust them, and are influenced by their choices. Gambling companies often employ these influencers to promote their services. The influencer's job: to portray gambling as a fun, harmless way to potentially make a lot of money. They're essentially providing a glamorous image of gambling that's hard to resist. Next, we've got targeted advertising. Now, this isn't your typical billboard or television ad. These are ads tailored specifically to you based on your online activity, interests, and even your location. Ever noticed how, after you search for something online, ads related to that topic start appearing on your social media feeds? That's targeted advertising at work. Gambling companies use this technique to reach potential gamblers on a more personal level. Finally, we have the creation of a glamorous image around gambling. This is where social media really shines for these companies. By showcasing high rollers, massive wins, and the luxurious lifestyle that could potentially come with gambling, they paint a picture that's hard to ignore. The reality of gambling, the losses, the addiction, the potential for financial ruin, is conveniently left out of the picture. In combination, these strategies create a powerful lure. They draw people in, make gambling seem like an enticing, harmless pastime, and then keep them hooked. The goal isn't just to get people to gamble once, but to turn them into regulars, into addicts. The more people gamble, the more money these companies make. These strategies are designed to lure people in and keep them hooked, often leading to dire consequences. And as we'll see in the next segment, these consequences are all too real for many people. Let's take a look at another case, Sarah, a college student who found herself caught in the gambling web. Sarah was an ordinary college student, studying hard and hanging out with friends in her free time. Social media was a big part of her life, as it is for many people her age. One day, while scrolling through her feed, she came across a post from a social media influencer promoting an online gambling site. The influencer painted a glamorous picture of the lifestyle that could be achieved through online gambling, and Sarah was intrigued. She decided to give it a try, thinking it was just a bit of harmless fun. At first, it seemed like a thrilling way to possibly make some money. She won a few games, and the exhilaration of those wins kept her coming back for more. However, over time, the losses began to pile up, but she was already hooked. She was continually lured back to the gambling site by the influencer's posts and promises of big wins. Sarah's grades began to slip, her relationship suffered, and she found herself trapped in a cycle of gambling that she couldn't break free from. She was spending money she didn't have, racking up credit card debt in the hope of one big win that would solve all her problems. But that big win never came. Instead, she was left with a mountain of debt and a life that was spiraling out of control. This is the harsh reality of how social media can play a detrimental role in promoting gambling. Influencers who glamorize this lifestyle can lure unsuspecting individuals into a web of addiction and financial ruin. And while the influencers may be profiting from their promotions, it's the followers, like Sarah, who pay the price. Sarah is not alone, and her story serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of social media's role in promoting gambling. The stories of John and Sarah are not isolated incidents, but a part of a much larger issue. When we pull back the lens, we start to see the expansive landscape of influence that social media has over our behaviors, our choices, and yes, our gambling habits. This is not a problem confined to a few individuals. It's a societal issue, one that is shaping how we interact, how we spend, even how we think. Let's consider the impact on mental health. Studies have shown that the constant exposure to online gambling advertisements can lead to addiction, anxiety, and depression. It's a vicious cycle of excitement, loss, and despair. Social media platforms, with their algorithms designed to keep us engaged, can intensify these feelings, making it harder for individuals to break free from the cycle. Then, there's the issue of financial stability. Online gambling can seem like a quick way to make money, especially when you're constantly bombarded with stories of big wins. But the reality is often a different story. Many people end up losing more than they can afford, leading to financial strain and, in some cases, severe debt. And let's not forget the effect on relationships. The time and money spent on gambling can strain relationships with loved ones, causing conflict and even leading to broken homes. It's a ripple effect, where one person's gambling habit can impact the lives of many others. But here's the thing, we're not powerless in this. We can and should scrutinize the influence of social media on our gambling habits. It's about being aware of the tactics used to lure us in, understanding the potential risks involved, and knowing when to step back. Let's not let the digital world dictate our real-world decisions. Remember, not everything that glitters online is gold. It's crucial to recognize and understand the influence of social media on our gambling habits, so we can take steps to protect ourselves and those around us.